What's up, everyone? Welcome to Mongols. I am Mike Sparks. This week, I caught up with Riverhounds captain Danny Griffin to learn all about what life is like for a pro during the offseason. We talked about his wedding, how he gets back into game shape, some of the returning players, and more. It's a great conversation. After that, the guys are going to join me. We're going to break down the news about the team's preseason schedule, as well as Tessa Della Rosa's interview that was released for the Riveters. As always, you can find us on all the social platforms, including YouTube, TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, etc. And we always appreciate a like and subscribe wherever you're getting this. You can email thoughts and questions to mongols3@gmail.com. And with that, on with the show. PG, welcome back to the show, man.
Good to be back. How you guys doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? Congrats. You just got married. Everything go off without a hitch?
It went smoothly. It was amazing. Best day of my existence. We really enjoyed it. You know, the build up to it all year. And then when everyone was coming to town after the holidays, family, friends and stuff. And it was just surreal. And like just to enjoy that moment and that special day. It was amazing.
When you said come to town, were you guys here in Pittsburgh or where were you?
Yeah, the wedding was here in Pittsburgh and Canonsburg. So yeah, like all my family was flying in like right after Christmas and stuff and got to stay for an extended period of time. And yeah, it was just nice to have them all here. They got to see Pittsburgh a little bit too. And then obviously the big day.
That's awesome. Super happy for you, man. That's great.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Aside from the wedding, how's your off season been?
It's been good. You know, a lot of it, just relaxing. You take some time off after the season ends, take some time. And I would say for the most part, Hannah and I stayed here. Just we were very busy with stuff going on for the wedding. So yeah, just taking that all in, and then yeah, after those 2 weeks, I'm kind of back at the facilities every day. So it's like kind of back to a normal routine pretty quickly. Obviously, not all the guys are back yet. They'll start trickling in here then this week. But yeah, the off season's been good, relaxing, just getting the body ready for next year.
Yeah, I'm curious. So, you're in close quarters with these guys for 8 to 9 months out of the year. Are you the kind of guy that once you get into the off season, you're still talking to those guys every day, or are you like, I need some space? Like, I'll catch up with you in a few months.
I would say it's a mix. Like I would say, obviously you see them every day, so then it's like weird that first week. Like guys
Yeah.
are packing up. Some guys go back home. Obviously, they're gonna go spend time with the family, so you're happy for them and that they get to go back and see their family because you know they're probably excited to get home. Yeah, I'd say you definitely stay in touch with the guys, like our group and the guys that we have. Like you definitely text them every now and then. We have different group chats that we have, whether we're talking smack with each other about football and whatever's going on, or even just checking in, sending funny memes on Instagram or whatever that might be. But yeah, you definitely stay in contact with the guys because then yeah, you're with them 8 to 9 months, and then you now there's time like not really seeing them. So yeah, you chat whenever you can at different times.
Yeah.
Stay in contact.
I'm curious. So you sort of end the season. I mean, obviously you guys are tired just because you've played an entire season, but you're kind of like peak physical form. How do you like you personally, how do you strive to like maintain that during the off season so that preseason isn't just like such a shock on your body? Are there certain things that you try to do as part of your just regiment, or how does that work for you?
I'd say certainly, yeah. I'd say I know. I think at times in the past, I feel like I wasn't good about like you got going. Like it's kind of hard to shut down when you're in that like
Yeah.
mindset, that space, your fitness. You kind of like don't want to. Obviously, you're a player, you want to keep going. But obviously, to take the time, it is a long season, so you got to take the time to recuperate and get everything that's going. You might have some nicks lingering that you got to get rid of with your body. So yeah, I always take those first 2 weeks, kind of let it obviously doing nothing with the ball, no weightlifting, and then after that, like you take that time, and then after that, I would say you kind of ease back into things like a little bit of the weightlifting, a little bit of the training that last week, and then yeah, everything I do with the ball. Obviously, it's more fun to do fitness with the ball, so I have different sessions going into the facility. Some of the local guys that are still around here, guys that are training me, our trainers giving us stuff to do. So I'd say yeah, like I always stay ticking over. Like I get that little break of 2.5 weeks, and then after that, it kind of comes back to like I'm back at the facility every day at like either 8, 9 in the morning, and staying until I finish my workout. And then obviously, we're blessed with the facilities we have there at Montour. So you do there, you do the gym, you do the sauna, and just do everything you need to do to keep yourself ticking over.
Is that something that as a player, like the team kind of makes available to you in the off season, or is it kind of up to you to like find your own trainer during the off season to help just keep you in shape?
Oh, they definitely leave that available, and like our
Nice.
trainers are still around, and we're still talking to them. He's come in certain days to do fitness with some of the guys that are local. So yeah, they keep you ticking over. They give you good things to do, and then obviously, yeah, we just stay on top of it. And there's a gradual build up, but then obviously as you get close to the season, there's definitely an uptick closer to preseason, and then yeah, just ready for guys to get back in.
That's awesome. Last year, that was your first season as a captain for the Hounds. Heading into season two, anything that you're thinking about doing differently based on your experience last year?
I would say, yeah, I would say definitely. I mean, I feel like there's a lot that I could take in and learn from last year, that being my first year as a captain. I mean, I'm always looking to grow as a leader, grow as a player. And I think every year presents different challenges. So it's like, it's never going to be the same, whatever that may be. So it's just always finding ways to overcome 'em, and you're going to handle things in different ways too. So I would say that there certainly will be changes, but there's always like, your normal consistency, and I know how I lead and who I am. So just continually doing that, and yeah, just excited for the season. I think from that season we had, there was a lot of back and forth, ups and downs, different moments. So I think, yeah, you just find different ways to balance that, grow through that. And obviously, yeah, we want a much quicker start than we had last year. So finding ways in which you can get off to a quicker start, do that. And there'll certainly be things that I need to do too as a leader. So yeah, I'd say for sure.
I'm curious, wearing the armband is a big responsibility. Are there any perks that come along with that? Like, do you get to pick your spot in the locker room first, or like any little side things you're like, okay, that makes it a little bit worth it?
No, I mean, I would say obviously the biggest thing for me is just the trust and confidence that the team has, the coaches have in you. I'd say I'm not like I'll be anywhere in the locker room. I don't mind. I'm actually the guys that I'm next to. Right now we have it by numbers. So like 1, 2, my number's 2. So 1, 2, and it kind of goes that way. Like no one really picks their locker. See, yeah, Eric Dick, he wouldn't want me to move away from him, so I stay close to him. I'm right next to him. So, but yeah, I'd say yeah.
That's awesome. So there's going to be a second team playing at Highmark this summer. Obviously, the Riveters. If you could give one piece of advice to the Riveters captain, whoever that may be coming in, what do you think that would be?
I'd say definitely embrace it, take it all in, and then go out there and leave your mark. You're going to be the first captain in the club's history. So that's a big deal. It's a special honor. You're certainly being chosen for a reason. So yeah, the biggest thing is we just go out there and leave your mark. You have a chance now. You're starting. This is a fresh start. You're going to have your team. You're going to be excited. And yeah, just go in there, command your locker room, and obviously you're going to bring what you bring to the table, and just be vocal, be a leader, don't shy away from anything, and definitely enjoy the process, because it certainly is a process.
Yeah. It sounds like obviously you've been sort of working up to preseason training, going into Montour, all of that. As a player, with preseason only a few weeks away, is preseason something that you feel you need to like kind of get through before the season starts, or do you enjoy sort of the preseason process?
I definitely enjoy it, because like I said, it definitely is a process. It's a long season. There's new faces in, so that's always exciting. You get to see your guys again. So all the guys that went away for these past couple months, now they're all back in. So it's always good to see them. And then yeah, you put the product together. You bring everyone together. Everyone's got to get on the same page. And I think preseason obviously is essential for what you do. You only have a certain amount of sessions before that opening whistle, so you take advantage of it and just try to maximize all of it. So I'd say yeah, definitely enjoy the preseason, and obviously competitive. Everyone's fighting for a spot, because nothing's guaranteed.
What's the worst part about preseason? It sounds like you're high on it overall, but in general, if you could pick one thing that you don't like about preseason, what would it be?
Um, feel like That's I feel like I guess the only thing to say is just like waiting for that first game. Like obviously you have your preseason game, so like that's when you get to go out as a team and compete. Like we'll have our stuff like intra squad and stuff before then. But yeah, then maybe it's just waiting for that first game, because obviously everyone's excited. You see the schedule, you see who you're playing first, you see what's ahead of you. So obviously you try not to look ahead of you, because you got those preseason games first, and you got to take care of those, and you got to keep getting better as a team before that first game. But then I probably say that's probably the worst part then.
Will you be disappointed if you go into the first game of preseason and you see that Bob has you starting as a center back?
No, I go where I can help affect the game and help. There's different tactics that we have for each match. So no, I won't be disappointed. I position, so I won't mind either any position I go and play.
You're too polite, Danny. Lots of changes coming in 2025. You guys are going to have new turf, potential stadium expansion, new kits. You have the Jägermeister Cup you're going to be playing in. What are you most looking forward to personally about 2025?
Yeah, I feel like even everything you said, that's all exciting. I feel like, yeah, when you put a new competition in front of us, the guys, it's like it's another chance to go out there and compete. It's another trophy to win. So I feel like that's got to be the most exciting part of it. Obviously, we have our goals and what we want to accomplish as a team, and we'll go over that obviously when you get in the locker room. But yeah, to have a new competition, you add that in there, and then obviously all the other things, guys like new turf, guys. If you can get more of our faithful fans in that stadium, obviously fantastic. We're gonna love it because we know the atmosphere you guys bring. So you add on double the seating. That's all of that times two. So yeah, we're excited for the year to start.
Awesome. Last question, and I'll let you get back to preseason prep and obviously playing with your dog as we were talking about. Last time you were here, we had a whole bunch of questions that were submitted by fans for you. I had one fan in particular, a 12-year-old, who reached out to me when he found out that you were going to be here. And he asked, if you could have a job other than playing soccer, what would it be?
Well, that's a tough one. Yeah, because I feel like now I got to go away from like sports. Because obviously, yeah, I'm a big sports fan growing up. I enjoy all that. Going away from that, I feel like it's either. I feel like I could see being a personal trainer. Feel like I enjoy that you're helping someone, and then obviously you're staying fit. It's some like the gym is always something I enjoyed. Once you start that process when you're younger in high school, and you start learning all about that and what you need to do to stay fit. And I feel like I've always enjoyed all that. And then obviously you add in helping someone accomplish their goals or something like that. I feel like it'd have to be that. Yeah, yeah.
I like that. Good
It's a good
answer. Good
question.
answer.
I haven't really thought about it too much like that.
You haven't had to. Yeah, you've been in a good spot.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Danny, thanks, man. Once again, congrats on the nuptials. Best of luck with the preseason and getting back with all the guys. And yeah, man, I'm sure we're going to be talking again real soon.
Thank you. Sounds good. Look forward to talking to you soon. All the best.
Steve Mattias, Josh Brokaw. Welcome, gentlemen. Steve, I feel like I always start with you. Josh, what's going on, man?
Not much. It's a long weekend, and I totally keep on forgetting about that. But yeah, just literally got reminded earlier. I was just like, oh man, okay, work tomorrow. It's supposed to be really cold. Maybe you should give some time. Oh wait, we don't work tomorrow. Never mind.
Yeah.
So,
do you got any plans for the one? Like, have you done anything fun or relaxing?
I went to a friend's house yesterday for his birthday. He had like a big bash at his place, and then we went out to eat at this. I forget what the place. It's like V&V, I think it's what it was called. But it's basically like a pre-menu where you just like pay one price and they give you like 5 courses or whatever. That was a lot of fun. It was fancy. Bring your own wine. So
I've never done anything like that. Like, do you enjoy it? Was there anything they brought out and you're like, no thanks?
Not really, but I'm also not a picky eater. But you can tell them like, if you have like allergies or like you want vegetarian or vegan or whatever, they'll custom it towards you, but they have like a preset, everyone's getting the same food.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had beets in one of them. One of the dishes had beets, and I'm not a fan of beets, but it was fine.
Well, now that you remembered that you're off tomorrow, you got any big plans for tomorrow?
No. Maybe leave the house. We'll see what it's like outside.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
This week's going to be brutal.
Yeah. This it's coming up week's supposed to be really cold. So I'm just like, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Steve, what's good with you, man?
Not much. Had some friends over for lunch yesterday. Have a friend that's leaving a job and taking a job at CMU. And so was connecting her and her husband with an acquaintance that I have. Somebody I don't really know. I've only met a couple times, but that has had a similar career trajectory. And so I thought it would be good to have them come over in a difficult time of transition. And so I made pizza and I was going to make everything myself, and then realized, I can get ingredients at Bridgeside Market in Swickley, and it was totally worth it. So had really good pizza. I had the leftovers for lunch today. It was fantastic. And just, yeah, kind of taking it easy, enjoying some downtime, enjoying, a longer weekend. I was really tired last night. I also played D&D last night and was really tired when I got home. And I was just like, man, I don't want to go to, wait, today's not Sunday. Like, and even if it was, I've got Monday off. Oh, this is great. So really that I have 2 more days at that point was just like sublime. So just really, kind of back in the mode that I was during the winter recess of like, I'm taking today as it comes and I'm just doing what I want today, not trying to accomplish anything. So this is the only thing that I'm like, this is what I will do today.
That's awesome. You saying pizza, I don't think I told you guys. So I think you guys know I make pizza on like a weekly basis. Like Friday pizza is just like our thing we'll do from scratch. I found, we saw online Construction Junction in, I guess, East Liberty. I guess you would call it that. They had, they were kind of Detroit style pizza pans, but the way that they make them or the way that they do them in Detroit, they're sort of like a thick crust kind of thing. But they're like rectangular. They used to use like metal pans that machinists would put like screws and stuff in. And so I saw that they had these online and I was like, we got to go. So like a few weeks ago, my wife and I went back to Construction Junction. I forget when it was. We scored one of these pans. My wife was like, are you really going to like cook in that? Like, we don't know where that's been. Like, what do you do? I was like, I scrubbed that. It's fine. It makes the most amazing pizza ever. I've been experimenting with dough, so absolutely love it. I if you would have asked me like
carcinogens off,
I tried to like, season it like you would like a cast iron pan. It's not cast iron. I think it's aluminum, but you never know what you'll find at Construction Junction. That we don't, they don't sponsor the show, but I highly encourage people to go check the place out. It's super cool.
I feel like now that you have given them an ad, you should ask them to sponsor.
Yeah. So I'm going to send them the link to the show and just be like, hey, and then, today I was totally looking forward to just like do another. Yesterday we were at a tournament in Altoona for the high school team, which was fun. What's always interesting to me is how, I tend to associate more talent sort of centralized around like the city hubs, because you tend to have sort of the big, like the Hounds have their academy, Philly has their academy, but like some of these teams in the middle of the state, it's just like, I don't know where they're going to get training, but they're really, really good. So there's just kind of talent everywhere. But then today I was like, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to take it easy. And then, the kids come downstairs and they're like, oh yeah, the TikTok ban is in effect. And it also affects CapCut. And I was like, wait, what now? Because a CapCut is what I use to edit all of these shows. And I was like, nah, it can't be. And so I logged in to try to use CapCut and it just said no. And it still is saying no. So if you're seeing this, it's because we're using some other editing software, at least for now. But,
if you're not seeing this, it did not work.
We're talking into a vacuum.
And if you're not seeing this, you don't know we had this conversation.
Exactly. So, guys, I guess you just heard and everybody just heard the interview with Danny Griffin. Love talking to Danny. We probably talked for another 15 minutes off air, just like catching up. Somebody mentioned, he just seems so wholesome, him and Eric Dick. And like, there's multiple guys like that you could just sit and talk to for hours. I guess, Steve, any sort of initial thoughts from that conversation?
Lots of thoughts, but my favorite moment was when you asked him about if he gets any preference to anything as captain. And he talked about the lockers and how he's next to Eric and how Eric would be upset. That was probably my favorite part. And so speaking of him and Eric being wholesome, them being wholesome together in the locker room, I think is a really fun image to have in my mind. I think overall, though, just what I loved about the interview as a whole was, known Danny for 5-6 years now. And just seeing him continue to grow as a person, as a player, as a leader on the team. And that being really evident in the way that he talks about his, what he learned as captain, but also recognizing that no year is going to be the same. And so constantly wanting to challenge himself and constantly wanting to grow. I think that really stood out to me a lot.
Yeah. Josh, thoughts?
Yeah, a little bit of the same with like when you asked about the whole, what's he going to do differently this year as far as being captain after being captain for a year, and just I don't know, just where his mind's at, how he's thinking about it, and exactly what he was saying with growing and seeming like he, realizes the pressure of it, the weight of it, but at the same time, like I trust him and take it on. And then it was just nice to hear about wedding and that kind of stuff and everything that's going on with him. So yeah, I'm excited.
It is always fun. Like, I always feel this pressure to be like, we have to talk about soccer, but then it's also just like, what's going on with you, man? Like, just like to like catch up, almost like you're just like hanging out at a bar with these guys. And no, I love catching up with those guys. I was bummed that, he doesn't get like preferential parking spot or anything like that. Cause there is a lot of weight. Like, you're the captain, you should get something, but, I also think Danny's too polite and just like, oh, I'm just happy to have the role. All right, man. Josh, I wanted to ask you. So, Steel Army came out this week, announced sort of the new scarf and all of the deal. Everything is going on. What's going on with the Steel Army before we talk about anything else here?
Yeah, so a couple things we announced. Well, one, we revealed this year's membership package. So the scarf is really like influenced by like World War II type, like propaganda type feel, without the war stuff. It's more like the victorious. If you want some fun, look at the scarf design and count how many V's there are on that scarf, because between the victory sign, the peace sign, like the victory sign with the skeleton hands, and then like the year, the V for victory, and then Morse codes on there for a V. There's a lot, so that's a lot of fun. We also heard loud and clear. A lot of people loved when we did bottle openers. I think it was like 2018, maybe we did bottle openers, or 2019, and a lot of people's bottle opener at this point has been worn out because it's like a keychain bottle opener. So we did a new design for that. I actually just got them in the other day, and they're like if you look at the image, you can see that it has our logo on it, but that's like behind resin. It's really cool. So yeah, those look great. And yeah, membership cards and all that stuff. And other than that, though, we also announced the AGM, which is going to be February 16th, right before the Columbus Crew 2 preseason game at Highmark. So that's the plan there. Yeah, if you ever been to an AGM, it's where we kind of vote for new members, announce what the plan is for the year, what we did the previous year. So that's always a good time. And plus, it's a preseason game, so get to watch the Hounds for free is also great. And then I don't know if we really talked about it, but we also announced, like, since we have the schedule for next year for the following season, we have All Hounds Eve planned for the 21st, so right before the home opener.
Nice.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think
Lots going on. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about the scarf design, because I think this is one of the coolest, most unique designs I've seen in a long time. And what I really like is how like the two sides have the yellow border, but the middle doesn't. And so often you just kind of see like a border around the whole scarf. That adds so much depth and texture. And then with the maroon kind of like keystones on the top, I think it looks fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we went through a lot of iterations with this one. Peter, we call him Peter the intern. He's done a lot of graphics for us, and I think he's done a lot of graphics for Mongols as well. So he's definitely been prolific as far as Hounds fandom goes. And it's actually supposed to look like a ribbon, like if you ever seen the V for Victory logo, which was like kind of like a slogan for World War II. It has a ribbon around the bottom of it, and it kind of puffs out like that. So that was kind of the inspiration for the way it looks. It's supposed to be a ribbon that goes across the whole scarf.
Yeah, I love it.
It was really interesting because you mentioned Peter. We are doing some cool stuff with Peter, more to be announced here shortly. But he obviously did the design for the Steel Army scarf, and then shortly thereafter, the Hounds announced a contest to design a scarf, and like, whoever wins, you get so many free tickets or whatever. And almost immediately Peter had like 6 different entries that he was ready to throw in, along with like a custom ammo coming out of the water logo, and like he was on it. So if you don't know Peter, you can go to any one of our socials or the Steel Armory socials, and there's links to his stuff, doing all sorts of really great stuff around Mongols, Steel Army, Hounds, all of that. Really, really cool dude. And like I said, more to be announced here soon. So stay tuned. Josh, you mentioned the preseason schedule. Let's talk about it. I'm going to put it up here on the screen real quick. So the Hounds did announce, we know that the guys are due back really soon. Danny was already talking about how he's already there. He's already training. I'm assuming Robbie, some of these other guys are already there, already training. In terms of the schedule, we play, the first game is going to be February 1st at Columbus Crew. So we're going to play an MLS team right off the bat. Then on February 12th, we're going to go to Indy 11. February 16th, Columbus Crew 2 comes to Pittsburgh. Then on February 21st, we are going to go to Pitt. Traditionally, Pitt has come to us. We are going to go to Pitt, which should be a fun experience. I think it's Ambrose Field up on top of the hill is super cool. Great sights. That could be a whole lot of fun. February 25th, Loudoun United is coming to us. And then we will finish the preseason on February 28th at Lexington. So Lexington is going to be a team in the USLC that we're going to see this season. So we will get our first taste of them in the preseason. So guys, just sort of looking at the schedule, we know we have one MLS team, we have one MLS2 team, we have one college team, and then 3 USL championship teams. Josh, I'll start with you. You saw the preseason schedule, sort of just immediate thoughts, gut thoughts.
Yeah, I actually think it's better than some previous years, mostly because I think it is important for the guys to be playing against teams that are going to be in the league or above the league as far as quality goes, because you want to have a quality opponent that's actually going to make you work out there and actually be like a game, and see where your fitness is at, see where your skill is at, and that is what this is. I feel like pretty sure probably the first preseason game against the Crew is probably going to be behind closed doors. That's what it was last time. So I wouldn't expect us to hear too much about that one. But yeah, I like seeing us playing more teams in the league and above the league. So I think this is actually a pretty good schedule.
Steve, what do you think?
I think my overall take has shifted a little bit as I've thought on it more. At first, I was like, this doesn't seem great, but I think I agree a lot with what Josh just talked about in terms of we are playing a number of teams. 4 out of the 6 games are against teams at our level or above. Sure, we don't know what Lexington's going to look like yet. They could be really good. They could be not so good, moving up and kind of rebuilding is the stage they're in. I think my bigger question is 6 games. Some years we've had 5, some years we've had 6. But it just, to me, this doesn't live up to a few weeks ago when we talked about our Hounds resolutions, and I talked about wanting to be ready to go and able to be competitive in the first couple games of the season. And so I'm just a little concerned with those 6 games that we're not going to get everybody up to speed, especially if Bob is using preseason to trial players rather than build cohesiveness and chemistry with the team. And I know we've had some behind the scenes conversations about you can do some of that in training, but I think game time environments, mimicking that with opponents that are not guys you're playing with regularly, is a big difference than simulated mini matches during training where the guys know how each other play and they're not going to play at the same level because these are the guys that they're playing with week after week after week, and they're not going to be playing as aggressively and as hard as another team might be. And so I think that for me is just where I'm kind of just like, okay, like, I'm glad to see we're playing those teams. I just want to see a little bit more. And I hope that this is enough to get us there to start the season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. When talking to Danny, he specifically mentioned that they'd like to not get off to a slow start like last season. So clearly this, whether that was just him reflecting back or it feels like something that has been discussed, Now, whether or not they're actively taking steps to try to avoid that, I asked him, like, what if you play center back? And he was just like, well, that's where I'll be. And I'm like, no, that's not the right answer, Dan. Don't be center back, please. But yeah, we had harped for years, and the Steel Army had harped. Everyone had been harping for years about this whole 1 year plus an option. How much us harping actually impacts the fact that now they're doing 2 years plus an option? Who knows? But hopefully, us harping and Steel Army and everyone else harping about these slow starts, maybe it makes its way through and we do a little bit something different this preseason. But I don't know if I believe. This gets back to sort of the one short that we put out this week where it was like, what do you think? And Steve, your reaction was like, doesn't matter what I think. It's what Bob thinks. And that's kind of where we are. So I don't actually know how to read this one. I like that we're playing an MLS team. Like, that's cool. The first game, it's not going to mean anything, though. I almost prefer that we see that later in the preseason when we got warmed up a little bit, and it's not as much a throwaway game. It might actually mean something. But,
so I want to talk a little bit about what that slow start did. That the Hounds ended last season on 48 points in 7th place, but 4th place Indy was on 51 points, right? And so picking up a couple wins or converting a couple of those draws to wins or those losses to draws, 4 points right there puts the Hounds in a home playoff position, even with the midseason skid that we had. And so I think that's why I think it's so important that the Hounds start strong, because 4 points, that's attainable in those first 5 games. 4 more points, right? We had 2 out of 15 possible points in the first 5 games. Getting 6 should not be a hard thing in the first 5 games of the season for the Hounds. And so that for me is where it really comes down to that. I want to see that, because I think that is one of those stretches of the season where you can make a difference and put yourself in a position where you have a little bit of breathing room down the stretch.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, it feels to me pretty much like a regular preseason. We aren't
less
playing
college teams.
I was going to say less college teams, which is great. It'll be interesting to sort of see where Lexington is. Again, sort of playing them as our last preseason game feels a bit like a throwaway because they are a new team. Well, that's not entirely true. They played in League One, right? Yeah. Yep. So they played in League One. So this is an organization. They're taking a step up to the championship. I knew they had a women's team. I couldn't remember if they played in League One. So they've been around. So there might be a little more weight to that. But yeah.
You also can't really discount just because they're new. I mean, like Rhode Island was new last year, and they did a hell of a season. They had a hell of a season. So, I mean, them being new doesn't bother me. Them not really making any huge announcements that I can remember makes me wonder what's going on with this team. Like, honestly, I can't tell you a single one of their players or like if they made a splash on any of the social media sites out there. I usually follow like a lot of people who follow USL as a whole, not just a team. And I have not really seen anything about Lexington signings or anything important from them. So that worries me. But just the fact that they're new doesn't really bother me. I do like the fact that it is not playing a college team for the last game of the season, of the preseason. Although I will say college, since the way their schedule works out, usually we're playing a college team when they're on, full stride, and also they have a young player base, so they're usually fast. So at least that way they get, if not skill level is high, at least their fitness level is high usually. And that's a good test. But yeah, I would rather play a USL team.
Yeah. You said a few things there that sort of made me think, Josh. One, saying that Lexington really hasn't put a ton of stuff out there. It does make me somewhat grateful for the strides that our front office has made in terms of releasing information, not just about the Hounds, but the Riveters. We'll talk here in a second. They just released a video with Tessa Delarose. Like they aren't even going to start playing for 4 months from now. So really the entire marketing engine that is behind this team, letting you know what's coming, announcing new players, doing interviews with people like us and other places. Like, it's cool to see that aspect of the organization continue to grow and develop and thrive in ways that you're seeing just not happening elsewhere in the USL. So that's cool. The second thing you mentioned was Rhode Island. We do have to mention that we, fan favorite, friend of the show, Danny Rivera, we knew he wasn't coming back, but it was just announced this week that he has signed for Rhode Island. I guess, Josh, immediate thoughts on Rovey going to Rhode Island?
It sucks. It sucks so hard. Just seeing that image of him in the Rhode Island, and like, I really liked him a lot, and not having him here is going to be really, I don't know, just disappointing. And it is disappointing. And seeing him playing for another team in the same conference, in the same league, it sucks. I hopefully, like I said, I like him a lot as a person as well. So I'm hoping he gets playing time, and they gave him a good deal. But yeah, that was hard to see. It's like I knew he wasn't signed, but I didn't know he was going to be playing for Rhode Island. Come on now.
Yeah. Steve.
Lots of similar thoughts as Josh. I want to talk though about that image in the announcement of him, and it's like for as much as we have talked about and we've had experiences with Rovey as super friendly, every once in a while, even when he was with the Hounds, there's like a picture of him in some way where he just looks so serious and
like
so stone-faced, right? Yeah, right. And it's one of those. And I looked at him, I was like, that's Rovey. But is that Rovey? Oh, that's one of those pictures of Rovey.
It's a game face.
Rovey. Yeah.
That's right.
No, I mean, I'm really happy for him that he's still playing.
Yes.
I would have liked to not see it be Rhode Island. But then it's like, where else? Like, where would I have liked to see him go? I don't know, right? Like, I don't want to see him playing anywhere else, but he's got to play somewhere else if he keeps playing. So I'm kind of ambivalent on it in the sense that when the Hounds play teams like Rhode Island, or when we're playing Detroit, where Shane Wee is now, right? Like it's up to us to go out and win those games, and former players being there, I don't think is something we need to be worried about from a competitive perspective. That we got to go out, we got to do our job. And if we're doing that, our guys get to banter with their friends that are now moving on at the end of the game. And those guys get to come over and we get to give them some consolation hugs and say, shouldn't have left. But in Rovey's case, I don't think it's like that. That's the line, right? Like, I think in his case, it's like, man, it sucks that you're not here anymore. And I think that's really more of what it is for me, that he's been such a great presence in Pittsburgh and for the Hounds that it's hard to see him in a different shirt.
Yeah. It'll be interesting because it's talking to multiple players last season. He seemed like such a key part of bringing new guys in and incorporating them into the team. Would have loved to see him stick around. I think I mentioned at one point, almost like an ambassador to the club. Like, that could kind of be his role. He could do a lot of publicity stuff, but like we said, he's still got years to play. Maybe he comes back. He also has a 1-month-old and like a new wife. Like, if you're going to play and you want to make a living playing and it's not going to be here, then like, I'm happy that he landed somewhere. Hopefully he did get a sweet deal. We know that Marky Barra is up there. Chico's up there. Like, there'll be some familiar faces. So wish him nothing but the best. But Josh, your point, it does suck that he's gone. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
Guys, the one other bit of news, there wasn't any signings this week. We were kind of anticipating that, maybe with preseason ramping up, that we would hear about some new players. It will be interesting because there always seems to be this period where we'll hear some names, and I don't know if it's just like the team kind of like giving us something to like, placate us. But once the preseason starts, there's so many guys that they'll bring in and just put on trial that once we get towards the end of preseason, it always feels like there's still like 3 or 4 spots that are yet to be filled. So it'll be interesting to see how many guys we actually do hear about between now and really March-ish. I'm hoping we hear about some new stuff and that it's not all just college guys, but yeah, we'll see. At this point, I'm not concerned. Steve, are you concerned at all?
Not concerned in the sense of what will be. That doesn't mean there aren't question marks. I'm thrilled to see Jacqueline back and bring in Larson, but I think we're not anywhere near where we need to be up top. That we need to see some. Jockson was great last year for us. We talked about that, how he contributed and had some excellent stats for the short time he was here. But I think what we're missing, and I think this was evident last year as well, was having a front line without a guy that really knows how to deal with defenders in this league through experience, not just through some minutes here, some minutes there over the course of a couple years. So I think that leadership and experience on the front line is something I would like to see. It doesn't need to be a guy that can score 20 goals a season, right? 15 goals a season, but just someone that can do some of the things, right? Like a Steven Dos Santos, that type of player that comes in and knows how to handle this league and those defenders and opens up space for other people.
Yeah. Josh, the first preseason game is literally 2 weeks away. Are you at all concerned, or are you like, hey, we're good, we'll deal with it?
No, I do agree that we need one more up front. I think we still need a goal scorer, a reliable goal scorer up front. Obviously Jackson is great. I'm excited for that, but yeah, we need more firepower up front for sure. Just a little bit of depth all around to kind of like pad out the back and the front line. I think midfield we're probably fine. But since we sign midfielders constantly, I think we're going to be good there. But yeah, the front and the back, I tend not to worry about the back line just because it's Bob. So I always feel like he has that on lock, despite who he signs, who we know, who we don't know, how many there are. Somehow it always works itself out. But yeah, the front line is definitely where I'm still a little bit skittish, but feeling better than I have in previous years going into the preseason. So am I worried? Yeah, a little bit, but there's plenty of time, and I think we're in a better spot already than we have been in the past.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point. If I were to go back and compare this preseason and how I'm feeling to last preseason, I think that there's a number of factors that make me feel better. We talked about last season how we kept a lot of guys, but a lot of those guys were bench guys, and we had no idea how they were going to contribute. Not so much the case this season. I think starting with 2 keepers at the back. I was going to say, with our luck, the next announced signee is going to be the third keeper. Like, she's going to pick somebody, and we're going to be like, great, thanks. But having sort of the depth at midfield, having Suber back at center back, and Asumanu's there, and Biasi's there, and there are obviously pieces we can fill in, but it feels like, aside from attacking, which we said Jockison, for the most part, we've kind of got the core of the guys who made that stretch run at the end of the season to do some good stuff. So that makes me feel better heading into this season. There's less questions of trying to understand Lily's system and all of the complexities, air quotes, that go with that. It just kind of happens. So I think I agree. I think I'm feeling better at this point, even though there hasn't been any signings this week or anything like that. So we'll see. Guys, I guess just shifting gears briefly, I think at the end of the last episode, I was like, did anybody see that Tessa Delarose interview? And well, they hadn't released it until after the show was over. They released it at some point this week. I think it was on social media, but it was definitely on YouTube. If you go and subscribe to the Riveters, I think it's Riveters SC on YouTube, they put the video up. It was a cool video. I mean, do either of you guys have any thoughts about anything she said? Or it didn't feel like there was anything that was too revealing, but I don't know.
Just in general, nothing too revealing, you're right, but it was definitely like between this video, they released like a really like inspiring video a couple of days before that, talking about women's soccer and like what it means to like the academy kids and that kind of stuff. And then like they've been releasing videos pretty consistently now for a couple of weeks, it feels like, and it's impressive to see the attention and the quality of product coming out already, as far as the build up of the season goes, and of the inaugural season. It's kind of hard not to be excited watching those things, and that's doing their job. And I'm happy to see they're doing a great job of it.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike, you're probably going to talk about this, but I'll just bring it up that she talked about being captain at UNC in the title winning campaign. And you asked Danny about what advice he would give to the captain. And you're right. Like she's not the captain yet. I think like, why has that not been announced? Like, isn't that the natural decision at this point. I don't know. I guess I assumed it as well. And so when you asked Danny that question, I was like, wait, isn't it Tessa? And then I went back and watched that video. I was like, yeah, no, there's no actually confirmation. That's just something I think I've been assuming. I think other people have too.
I don't think you can announce the captain before the team's actually made. Like, you want to sign everyone, get a feel for it, and then you announce the captain.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But another thing I really did like, though, was the Megan Klinenberg shout out and like talking about who inspires her and seeing that and just the things she had to say about her. And that makes me, wonder, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I'm like, how much is Megan Klinenberg going to play a part in the Riveters? Just excited to see that relationship.
You guys may have said this, my internet just dropped, but Klingenberg is on that women's advisory group, and so is Tessa. So I'm like, would you really put someone who isn't your captain on that advisory group or not? Like, I feel like she just is going to be the captain, but maybe they're just waiting to announce it. We shall see. But I agree, really cool stuff from the team. From the marketing team. I'm assuming it's the same team that does stuff for the Hounds, and they also released a video this past week that was focused on Ammo and like Ammo acting like a dog and like playing in the snow. It just seems like they're having fun over there, which is great. Like they were like in meetings and like they're in meetings and Ammo's like distracting them and like throwing a ball at them so they'll throw it back to them, and it was fun. So yeah, kudos to the marketing team over there because they're definitely pulling out all the stops this year. It's good stuff. Yep. So. Well, gents, I think that's all of the Hounds and Riveters news from this past week. Is there anything else going on?
I know we just got done complimenting about the videos they're making, but I just want to bring up, I don't know if you guys saw the Jackson video that just came out, where it's kind of like a special message from Jackson, and it's kind of like just him in front of the camera being like, I'm excited, I just got signed, I'm excited for the season. But man, does it feel almost like a hostage video? I don't know, man. It is very much just like a kind of like stilted. I'm sure he's just like, nervous, and it was, not, but I think it might have been on the app only, maybe, or it might have came out since then on social media. But yeah, I was just like, maybe like loosen them up a little bit, be outside playing, or like, something a little bit more, not just him standing or sitting in front of the camera and doing a vertical video where you just, yes, I am excited for the season to start.
I've not seen that video. We did talk to Berton, and I know that's kind of his personality. He just kind of seems just like very formal and like to the point. So maybe some of it is like, know the subject that you're filming and just prepare for that kind of thing. I'll have to go dig that up. That sounds
it was pretty funny.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think that's it. We talked for a decent while here. Obviously, massive thanks to you guys. Massive thanks to Danny Griffin for joining us. We will be back next week, probably with another interview. We don't know who yet. We shall see. Maybe it'll be one of these guys. I don't know. Well, maybe that guy. We just talked to that guy. We'll talk to the other guy. We'll see.
Give Rob a
Rob a
boost.
Lead. Yeah, 2-point lead over Bushy won't be happy about that. We'll see. There's a couple of other coaches that I inquired about talking to as well as the players are all starting to trickle back into the city. And so once they get back in, they're going to be made available and we can start talking to them too. I'd also love to talk to Tessa and do sort of an in-depth about like the whole UNC run and like everything else. I also don't know what her college course load is like right now. So maybe not. We'll see. But obviously lots of great stuff coming. If you guys have any thoughts or questions, you know how to get a hold of us, mongols3@gmail.com. We're all over the socials, all over the place. You can also leave a comment, like, subscribe, anywhere it is that you're finding this. Otherwise, thanks guys. And thank you everyone for watching and listening. We will be back with more Hounds and Riveters content for you very, very soon.
Later.
See ya.